Okay, welcome to Lesson 30. We're going to be working with fractions again, and this time adding and subtracting them. So what you hope is that you have fractions with equal denominators, because if you have fractions with equal denominators, it's super simple. All you do is copy the denominator and then add or subtract the numerators. So 1 plus 2 is 3, and you get your answer. Or if you have a subtraction problem, maybe you have, let's say this, 10 twelfths minus 3 twelfths. Well, again, you copy the denominator, and then you work with the numerators. 10 minus 3, oops, that looks like an equal sign. 10 minus 3 equals 7. And you get 7 twelfths as your answer. So super easy if you have the same denominators, and you have to have the same denominators in order to add or subtract. So that's super easy. Now what do you do when you don't have the same denominators? Let's say 1/4 plus 1/2. Well, you don't just add like normal. If you think of it, if you had 1/4 of a pie and half of a pie, that would equal, as you can even just see here, that would equal 3/4 of a pie, right? 75% of a pie. But let's say you just got confused and you said, oh, I'm just going to do 1 plus 1 for my numerator, and I don't know what you would do for the denominator. Let's say you copied the 4. Oh, okay, so I have 2/4 or 1/2. Incorrect. So we can't just add or subtract. We have to do something so that we can have the same denominator on the top and the bottom. So the easiest thing to do would be to change the second fraction, because we have a 2 down there, and if we could change that to a 4 by multiplying the denominator and the numerator, you have to do top and bottom, by a 2, then this would become 2 over 4. And then we could add it, because 1/4 plus 2/4, those have the same denominator. So now let's copy over the denominator and then add the numerators. 1 plus 2 equals 3. See how we were able to arrive at the correct answer, as we saw in our illustration, because we remembered to change the denominator to the same denominator. So that was good, but let's say you have something more complicated, because we're not just learning easy fractions here, we're learning how to do some hard stuff. Let's say you had 1/4 plus 5/9, so we can already see we don't have the same denominator, but then there's actually even a third fraction we're going to add. 1/4 plus 5/9 plus 2/3 equals what? Well, now it's a little harder to think of that common denominator. Do we change it all to a 9? Do we change it to a 4? What do we change it to? And this is where it's helpful to know how to find the lowest common denominator. Do you remember how to do that? What we do is we write out the factors. So 4 is made up of a 2 times 2. A 9 would be 3 and a 3. And then the 3 is just a 3, because that already is a prime factor. And then we look at which number has the most of certain numbers. So we have 2. Which one of these numbers has the most 2? Well, this is the only one that has 2's, and it has 2 2's. So 2 times 2. Now which one has the most 3's? Well, this one only has 1, and this one has 2, so I'll circle that one. So 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. And what does that equal? Well, 2 times 2 is 4. Times 3 is 12, times 3 is 36. So 36 is that magic number that will allow us to add all 3 of these fractions together. But in order to do that, we have to convert 1/4 to a denominator of 36. So how do we do that? Well, let's just think about it. 4 times what equals 36? Well, we would have to multiply 4 by 9 in order to get a denominator of 36. So let me go ahead and I'm going to set up a new equation. So we want a 36 on the bottom for all 3 of these numbers. And in order to turn 1/4 into 36, we need to multiply the bottom by 9 and the top by 9. So 1 times 9 is 9. And then as we learned, 4 times 9 is 36. So there we go. Now how about 5/9? What do we have to multiply that by to make sure we have 36 on the bottom? Well, if we multiply 9 by 4, we'll get 36. So we'll do that to the top and bottom. 5 times 4 is 20. 9 times 4 is 36. There we go. We only have one more to do. 3 times what equals 36? Well, 3 times 12. So do that to the top and the bottom. 2 times 12 is 24. And then 3 times 12 is 36. So that was a lot of work to convert those fractions into a number, into a fraction that had a denominator of 36. But now we can finally add them, whereas before we could not. So what's 9 plus 20 plus 24? Well, let's see. That'd be 44 for these two big guys together. Plus 9 is 53 over 36, as we would copy the denominator. So 53 over 36, that's good, but we have an improper fraction, right? Because the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So let's go ahead and convert that to a mixed number. And so what we would do is take 53, divide that by 36, and we realize you can only go into it one time. 53 minus 36 is 17. So we'd have one whole candy bar, and then we have a remainder 17 over 36. So what is 1/4 plus 5/9 plus 2/3? Well, we couldn't do that. We couldn't solve that right away. We had to first convert it to a common denominator, which we calculated was 36. And then we had to convert each of those terms into a fraction with a denominator 36. Then we could finally add those fractions, and then we simplified it by turning it into a mixed number. So this would be our final answer. And notice that there were quite a few steps to get there. And that's one thing you'll notice in algebra. Earlier, your math has probably been pretty straightforward, where you had to do, 39 divided by 4, and you would just solve it. But now there's going to be multiple steps. So first you had to find the lowest common denominator, then you had to convert those fractions to that lowest common denominator, then you had to add them, and then you had to turn that improper fraction to a mixed number. So there's multiple steps, and that's something to get used to, which I know will take a little bit more effort, but it will be worth it, and will also teach you how to persevere and how to keep track of details through multiple steps. So let me know if you have any trouble, because I know that's a challenge, but I also know that you can do it. All right, end of lesson 30.